Ladies and gentlemen, the sun is bright, the birds are chirping, and we've got headlines to cover. So, as you already know, Throwing Patone starts right now. Welcome back. We've had an abundance of headlines this week. Go ahead and grab a seat. We've got a lot to cover. Kicking things off, the Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. No more will they be called the Atlanta Panthers. No, sir. They did, in fact, pull through. And in an incredible performance, Connor McDavid took home the Conn Smythe. He becomes the first finals loser to do so since 2003. And just so you're aware, former Tampa Bay Lightning player Carter Verhaeghe did score one of Florida's 2 goals in Game 7. Friendly reminder that Tampa's still on top. Sticking to the NHL draft just took place at the Sphere in Vegas. Macklin Celebrini was the first pick of the draft. He was taken to the San Jose Sharks. We're going to skip over the remainder of the draft order for time's sake, but you can find the full draft order on whatever website you use for your NHL news. Sticking to the draft theme, the NBA draft also just took place. Zachary Rizacher went first overall to the Atlanta Hawks. And as with the NHL draft, you can find the full draft order wherever you find your NBA news. However, we will talk about Bronny going to the Lakers, because, LeBron's essentially just the GM over there. Insanity. Absolute insanity. It remains to be seen whether Bronny's going to get any playing time over there, but having a father-son duo in the NBA is something I don't think anybody had on their bingo card. Moving on, the Tennessee Volunteers have won their first college baseball World Series since their baseball program establishment over 120 years ago. Tennessee, down 1-0, held their ground, pushing a Game 3 where they went into the top of the ninth, leading 6-3. A&M scores 2 runs in the top of the ninth, 6-5 scored, 2 outs, and Combs of Tennessee strikes out Burton of A&M to take the whole thing. I know it's cliche and it's a quote from a movie, but how can you not be romantic about baseball? Finally, this is unfortunate, as you know. We gotta dive into some negative publicity for the NFL. Firstly, the league was found guilty of violating antitrust laws in a lawsuit claiming that they overcharged for their NFL Sunday ticket subscription service. The U.S. District Court ordered the NFL to pay $96 million in damages to commercial class members, the restaurants, bars, things of that nature, and $4.7 billion with a B to residential consumers. So in short, the NFL's whack, man. Something's going on, something's in the water over there, and they're leaning in the wrong direction. But if you paid for Sunday ticket, you may be getting a check in the mail sometime real soon. Next up, for bad publicity for the league, the NFL canceled their supplemental draft for the 4th time in the last 5 years. For those who don't know what it is a second draft where players who weren't ready for the first draft can still be drafted. And just so you have the bigger picture, the way it works is there's 7 rounds. There's not enough players to fill 7 rounds, but there's 7 rounds. If a team takes an athlete in any of those 7 rounds, they're then stripped of that respective pick in next year's draft. So say the Bucks, for example, took a player in the 5th round of the 2024 supplemental draft, they would then lose their 5th round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. I hope that makes sense. Although the cancellation might not sound like that big a deal, really talented athletes have been taken in the supplemental draft. Josh Gordon, Chris Carter, and most recently, Jalen Thompson, safety for the Cardinals, were all supplemental draft picks. This thing's been canceled in 4 of the last 5 years. If this trend continues, Thompson might have been the last player taken in the supplemental draft. I'm really hoping that's not the case, but I'm actually curious. What do y'all think? What are your thoughts on this? I didn't even bother making a graphic for it, as you can tell. I didn't feel it deserved one. Former first overall pick Jamarcus Russell is being sued by Williamson High School for taking a $74,000 check written out as a donation for weight room equipment to the high school and cashing it. This guy's a scumbag. Reportedly, Chris Knowles, who's a lifelong LSU fan, was approached by Jamarcus Russell about making a $74,000 donation to his football program at Williamson High School for new weight room equipment. Knowles was in favor. He wrote the check out. Jamarcus Russell then deposited it, and when Knowles asked for a receipt of donation, Russell stopped talking to him entirely. And it goes without saying, Jamarcus Russell was fired from the position in the coaching staff. But that is all the news we have for today. In just a short moment, we'll bring in Matthew Bracker, a friend of mine and a Denver Broncos fan. He'll join me to look into some of the more dicey NFL QB situations right now and throughout OTAs. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side of this break.